evening and good to have you with us in this edition of the Urban Debate, viewers. Tonight we're going to start off with a topic and an issue that hardly ever gets spoken about, but needs our government's dire attention, needs your and my dire attention right now, because it's something that impacts us directly. But unfortunately, it never gets spoken about. India is staring at a possible acute shortage of blood supply. The two states that are affected the most, as per our initial digging up, are Maharashtra and Karnataka. In fact, in Maharashtra, a red flag has been raised repeatedly over the past few weeks. The government now also is trying to push for more blood donation drives. It has become a big concern. We're given to understand that in cities like Mumbai, there are hardly stocks left for a few days, and so we need to very quickly replenish the stock of blood in our blood banks. The data is on your screens. Now, why has this happened? Why has the blood stock suddenly dropped so much? Obviously, because during times of pandemic, because of a lockdown, because of fear of infection, people aren't really stepping up to donate blood. It's also become extremely difficult to hold blood donation drives. Usually these drives are at large-scale events, they are in corporate grounds, they're held in campuses, universities, colleges, but all of that cannot happen right now, which is why we are seeing such a dire situation. And the data is on your screens, even for the city of Mumbai. Now, Karnataka is no different. Karnataka also, if you take a look at the kind of storage which is there versus what is needed, what was there last year, the situation tells a very, very concerning picture. And month after month, there is not much respite coming in. We try to collate national statistics, but what is available nationally is just the stock supply that we have right now. That doesn't give us an insight into how much should it be, how much is needed, what is it usually. And so we're going to ask our experts about it. But essentially, viewers, what is happening is because of fear of infection, people like you and I are not stepping up. And the unfortunate part about this problem is that we will not realize it. It doesn't really affect us until it does, until it hits home, until somebody that we know in our family needs blood. And then we begin to struggle. To avoid that situation, let's find out what are the ways, what are the safe ways that we can go about donating blood. Can it happen in these times? What are the precautions that we have to take? The bigger agencies in our country have come out with a set of safety guidelines. And Avni Raja is in fact joining me from the newsroom to take us through that. Avni, we're going to talk about why the donation, is a big problem and how we can ramp it up. But do tell our viewers, those who may be interested, on what are these guidelines? Can it be safely done right now?
Yes, absolutely, Tanvi. In one word, it can definitely be done safely right now. The solution is not to stay away from things like blood donation, but to actually do it in the safe manner. Now, what are these guidelines that should be kept in mind when you go to donate blood? First of all, it's very important to maintain good respiratory hygiene. That is, of course, the first thing, especially in these times, which needs to be done. Secondly, do not cough and sneeze openly. This is once again something that we've been told time and again through this COVID pandemic period, and this is something that again should be done. Then thirdly, washing your hands and feet before you donate blood. That is the third point also that you need to keep in mind. In fact, fourthly, you should ensure that most touched surfaces are disinfected. So make sure that disinfection is done. Now, all of this is something that we've been doing through the COVID pandemic already, but it needs to be done especially when you're going to donate blood. Seats in the hospital should be at least 6 feet apart. So the social distancing distancing aspect has to be maintained. That is the next point that is being highlighted here. Thermal screening of hospital staff and patients. Most hospitals obviously will continue to do this as well. So that's also something that should be done. Do not touch your face or outside the mask. Once again, extremely important that you keep your hands away from your face, especially in areas that are not covered by the mask as well. Once you're back home, change and wash all your clothes. So once you finish the donation part of it, you come back home, you change, you wash your clothes. All of that does need to be done. And you take steam to avoid nasal infection. So this also is sort of a preemptive measure that you can take to ensure that you don't get any kind of nasal infection. And in case, by chance, if you do contract COVID within 14 days after you have donated, it is very important that you inform the authorities, because then obviously there will be another string of protocol which will have to be followed with respect to that. Tanvi.
Avni, thanks so much for really, putting together those 10 points for our viewers to also understand that there is definitely a way out. But how do you go about it when there aren't any donation drives maybe taking place in your neighborhood? You don't want to step out. Those are some of the other issues that we've been told about. Let's say good evening to the experts who are joining us. Suryaprabha Sadasivan, Vice President and Healthcare Practice Lead at Chase India, joins us this evening. Amar Patnaik, Member of Parliament of the Rajya Sabha from the BJD, joins us this evening. Dr. Amita Mahajan, Senior Consultant for Pediatric Hematology and Oncology at Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals from Delhi, is with us this evening. Anil Shah, Member of Think Foundation and Founder Secretary of the Mumbai Thalassemia Society, is also with us this evening. Thank you so much to all of you. Also, let's say good evening to Dr. Abhijit Bopadikar, Joint Secretary of the Federation of Bombay Blood Banks, joining us this evening. And Dr. Abhijit, I want to start off with you. We've been, at least in Mumbai, we've been speaking about it. Our reporters have got us, details in the last few weeks. What is the situation right now in terms of availability of blood in the banks?
Hi. The issue right now is, see, as a Joint Secretary of Federation of Bombay Blood Banks, all I can tell you guys is that we are going through a very bad situation with respect to the blood stock. If I can just give you some, we can have some number crunching. Our requirement of blood is close to 1,000 units a day in Mumbai. And before this interview started, I had a quick look at where we are with the numbers. We are sitting on about 3,500 blood units across Mumbai. So basically, if you do simple arithmetic, it means that we have blood that will suffice for the next 2 or 3 days, unless we have some dire means of enhancing the voluntary blood collection. So my first appeal to everybody is that just like Unlock, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 has started, the most important thing right now for saving lives is unlock blood drives.
That's a very important point that you're raising, Dr. Bopadikar. How do we do this? Will these have to be organized by the government? Do we bring out the associations and the groups who usually organize blood drives? Can people start going to some centers? Some basic information for those who may be interested right now in helping out.
The maximum supply of blood in Mumbai, going by the policies of voluntary blood donation, is via blood drives. And in fact, 90 to 95% of blood is collected, not only in Mumbai, but I'm sure all across the country, via blood drives only. Unfortunately, because of the COVID situation, the epicenters of blood drives, that is, whether it could be, corporates like offices, railway stations, colleges, they're all shut. Because of which we are not being able to conduct drives in these places, which basically was our lifeline. So what we're trying to do is we're appealing to housing societies, we're appealing to people where, at least these small drives can be conducted. There are these mobile blood vans which are moving across Mumbai to go and collect blood from wherever possible. But all this is piecemeal. We need a little more consolidated effort to try and enhance the voluntary blood collection. But that will only happen if people are interested. Right now, there's this panic situation. People are extremely fearsome of the COVID situation. They're worried that they might catch the infection if they're going and donating blood. Despite all precautions that the blood banks are taking with respect to the hygiene, the safeties of the blood bank personnel as well as the blood donor, there is this fear amongst the potential blood donors, and we need to try and overcome that fear that it's absolutely safe, and it's I mean, nobody's going to have a problem. I mean, as well the blood donors as well as the recipients.
Okay. Dr. Amita Mahajan, if I can come to you. One question that will always play on somebody's mind is it safe for me to go to such a place and donate? And secondly, even those who are donating, what if somebody has COVID? Is it even safe to have a blood donation drive at such a time? What would you say to that?
So first of all, the blood banks where people used to go to regularly donate are very cognizant of the fact that people are fearful of catching COVID coming to a healthcare facility. So the blood banks have really gone out of the way and communicated to their previous donors, previous drives. So they are really making it possible for them to come and making it completely, like for example, having separate entrances and exits so that they don't actually go to the patient areas, keeping all the hygiene factors that you've just described that is recommended for the donors, so to ensure and give them confidence that they can come safely. But apart from that, the blood banks are actually reaching out that they are really, it was rightly pointed out that we have these mobile vans and they are really going out to the societies. They can't no longer go to the corporates which they used to do because everybody is working online or, the offices are shut. But really they are reaching out in various places, even for small donations. The vans are working round the clock to really go and that is a model that will probably sustain even beyond that, so that we can fulfill the 100%. This year actually marks the WHO's target that we should be totally self-sufficient with voluntary blood donation. And even prior to the pandemic, we were actually short of that target. So this pandemic, and really speaking, I treat patients whose lifeline is blood. So if we don't donate, this is either it is an integral part or blood transfusion is their treatment.
So in fact, let me ask you this, Dr. Mahajan, because, in the initial months of the pandemic, others medical services were barely, functional. And so the requirement was less. Also, people weren't really stepping out, so fewer accidents, fewer other issues. But that's now changed. How difficult is it becoming for you on a day-to-day basis to function?
So, I work in a system where we have been very much supported by various organizations. But when we speak of Pan-India, not everybody has been so fortunate. So, we have three categories. So, trauma, surgeries, and patients with blood disorders and cancer. These are the three big patient groups who need regular blood supply. So, when we talk of Pan-India, it's, like we've already told, these efforts have been piecemeal. So it really depends how people have come together, how the organizations. But let me say on a positive note that in the last few months, we've seen so much positivity from the patient advocacy groups, and people have come up with innovative methods to, for example, Facebook has, we have 4 million registered donors on Facebook, but our requirement is actually 12 million units per year when so we are not even meeting that before pandemic. So many initiatives, innovative things have been done that we are now slowly beginning to catch up. But in areas like Mumbai, Karnataka, some states that you've already pointed out, shown the statistics, there is a huge gap and our safety net is very small. So unless we really mobilize people to donate and convince them that it is safe, and the blood banks need to do their bit by actually somehow this, and I'm thankful to you for highlighting this, that if they are scared to go to the blood bank, go to a hospital, go to a healthcare facility, they can reach, come to you. So lots of blood banks on their own are actually taking these initiatives, but we need to build donor confidence and donor morale so that they feel safe to come to wherever the blood is to be collected, and do not fear for themselves, because at the end of the day, it's an altruistic activity and we owe it to every possible donor that he comes to no harm whatsoever.
Yes, absolutely, which is why, we decided to have this conversation, because it's only when we have experts like you with us taking us through the details will we be able to tackle the queries, tackle the fear that people may have in their minds. In fact, I'm going to also open up our phone lines. If anybody has a specific query or a concern, maybe you can help them and answer those queries as well. Surya Prabha, the other aspect is that, like Dr. Amita pointed out, that we are already on a year-to-year basis struggling to meet the requirements, and the pandemic obviously has just worsened it.
Absolutely agree with you, Tanvi. And I think there are two key fundamental challenges that have, traditionally restricted blood availability and adequacy in India, right? So firstly, it's the blood transfusion service in India itself, which is pretty unorganized and fragmented. And as a result of which, there is limited or almost like negligible connectivity and communication between the blood banks, and each operates in almost near isolation, right? So this leads to inefficiency in terms of catchment, demand, and supply, and consequently the availability as well as the quality of blood. And often, opening more blood banks is pegged as the easiest solution to address some of the complex problems of access. But in reality, shortfall of blood is because of the inefficiencies between the blood banks that I just mentioned about. And secondly, and more importantly, which we've all been talking about, and Dr. Mahajan touched upon it, that there is a cultural apathy of donating as directed in India, right? Even the most educated people perceive blood donation to be an emergency service. When you ask somebody, they'll say, okay, I'll donate blood. But we don't kind of take it upon us as an altruistic measure to go and donate blood when we are healthy individuals, right? And of course, there is also the problem of widespread misinformation and ignorance about the effect, importance of safety around voluntary blood donation itself. So I think these are important factors that we need to address as we move forward.
Okay, in fact, I want to also bring in Mr. Amar Patnaik. Mr. Patnaik, I read one of the exhaustive articles that you wrote about this issue as well, and honestly, it's not obviously limited to one state or two. It's across the country that we're looking at this situation. Now, how do we collectively step it up? Because it's not a regular time. We need to really increase, our blood donation drives at this point.
Yeah. If you have gone through that article, actually, I talk about a very innovative approach that our party followed. See, I look at it this way. There are three stages. One is the identification. The other one is the storage. The other one is, again, collection, and then transmission. These are the four aspects of, I would broadly put it this way. So even though we have a potential of about 500 million, we are just collecting from just even less than half. And the gap is, that's why. So identification is an issue. And the second one is the collection and storage and collection. So what we did, this identification aspect, as a political party, BJD, in April 2020, that's the first lockdown and the second lockdown was announced. The Honorable Chief Minister of Orissa we realized that thalassemia patients, for example, they are continuously having a problem. And then we realized that there is a dip which is going to happen. So Honorable CM made an announcement to all party cadres that there should be no shortage of blood in the state. And then followed it up during his birthday in October. We made a campaign, huge campaign. By that time, the unlock had come. So a huge campaign, and 10,000 units were collected, I think, in 1 week. And our party cadres did it at the, to take care of this identification issue. We did it at the panchayat level also, and by coordinating with the Red Cross authorities as well as the Rotary. So I think if there is a political will that is built into this, and given the young population that we have, actually one can't really complain that we don't have donors. It's just that, awareness is one, and second is access issues. We should be able to, and it is very important we reach it.
Yes, because we are looking at situations where in parts and in cities and states, you only now have stock which will last you 4 days or 5 days, and that to me is an extremely concerning and scary situation. Anil Shah, do you agree with what Amar Patnaik is saying, that now is the time where the states and the administration needs to step in and take charge as well?
Right, that is true. Actually, apart from working from this organization, I'm a parent of thalassemia major child. My child needs blood every 15 days. He needs 2 units of blood every 15 days. There are 1,800 children in the city of Mumbai. They are actually needing blood all the time, every day. Before pandemic situation, the situation was good because the main source of blood is colleges and corporate. And unfortunately, both are closed. Colleges are closed and corporates are also working from home. So there is and many people are appealing that please donate blood, please donate blood. Many politicians are appealing. But the main thing is, instead of appealing people, the thing is everybody should organize, means everybody means, but every society should organize blood donation. There are some people who are willing to donate blood. But so if the facility is made available to them at their doorstep or their nearby society something, then you will see. Suppose we have a society of 100 flags and we appeal people to please donate blood for these children or for there is actual shortage of blood. Hardly 2-3 people will go and donate blood. But if we organize a blood donation drive in the society, at least 25, 30, 40 people will come down and donate blood. So that is that. So we need to organize maximum blood donation drives, and fortunately there are now vehicles available with this, buses available where we can be used and with a very safe method. So instead of in the last few weeks, in the last few days, really some political parties, they have taken a good initiative. Even Shiv Sena and this in Maharashtra, even BJP is always appealing this, and some people. And today I think also. Rashtrapati Congress, Sharad Pawar Congress on his birthday, they are organizing blood donation drive. So I think the situation should be good in the next few days. But we need to organize maximum blood donation drives. We need to appeal people. Please organize blood donation drive in their offices, in their societies, in their wherever religious institute, wherever you are, so that the maximum blood will be collected, and these thalassemia children and other patients, they will get blood on time.
If I can ask you, and since you represent the Thalassemic Society itself, how did everybody manage during the last few months? Was there a time where it became a huge concern? There were sleepless nights about this.
The last 6 months was a very difficult. Initially, first 2-3 months was little better because it was a totally pandemic situation and COVID. Because of this COVID situation, the other surgeries were, I think, the requirement for blood for other surgeries were less. And this COVID patients, they don't need blood transfusion. So blood requirement was very better. But now the other surgeries are started. So now, since last 2-3 months, the shortage is more severe in last 2-3 months. And it's really very, very difficult because colleges were not shut for such a long time. The main source of blood is colleges. And all the colleges are shut since last 6-8 months. And there was not such a huge gap. And unfortunately, all corporates are really very helping us a lot for blood donation and everything. But all this, they are working from home. So since last few months, really very difficult. For a single unit of blood, we have to run from pillar to post. We have to appeal friends, relatives to donate blood and search for blood donation. Really, the situation, sometimes it is good, but most of the time it is very difficult. But fortunately, I can see that all these political parties, they are coming forward to organize blood donation drives. And I think in the near future, the situation will improve.
Yes. Mr. Patnaik, you wanted to make a point? Go ahead, please.
Yes, I just wanted to say the same thing, that all political parties have to make this as a part of their agenda, as a part of their ideology to give back something to society. And they have the cadre, so these cadre people can actually organize it very nicely. It doesn't necessarily have to be only politics all the time. So it has to be something to do, give it back to society. Every political party should have to do some kind of social service. And this is what we did to the society, to the community, because at that time, I think this is what was the most pressing problem. And this has to be recognized. And if that happens, the voluntary donations would increase. And slowly they would get into the circle of actually donating it year after year after year, instead of doing it in a sporadic manner at some place here and there and all. It should actually get into the agenda of the society to take care of their own people who need the blood.
Yes, and often what happens is it doesn't even strike people, and unless we make a lot of noise about it, unless we, talk more and more, reach out to people, it's not going to strike them that, oh, this can even be a problem. There's so much of conversation we're having about COVID and how it's changed our lives and the lockdown, how, our own lifestyles have changed, that I think unless and until it hits you and you know somebody in your family who needs blood, you've probably not thought about it. I just also want to point out that there is one specific thing that our viewers must know, those who are, right now thinking of going out and donating blood, that there is also a rule of when you should not donate. There's a 28-day rule. If you've come with somebody who's tested positive or who's been a suspect, or even if you've interacted by any chance with someone who should be in a quarantine right now, or if you've traveled from a place, from a country where there is community transmission. So these are a few of these aspects where you shouldn't come and go and donate blood. At least give it a 28-day break before you can actually do so. Our phone line numbers are flashing on your screens. If you still have any other doubt or another concern, then please pick up the phone and ask. Our experts are here to help us out as well. But it's only if we come together and make this change will we be able to save lives. If we're looking at that situation. In fact, Dr. Amita, if you can, help us understand when a city or an administration says we only have blood for 4 to 5 days, what does that mean, and how will we be able to in the next 4 or 5 days really replenish it unless we go on massive drives?
Yes, well, that is a dire situation, and we should never ever be in such a situation. Because even when you donate blood, it cannot be used on the same day. There is, we need to ensure safety, and that requires 48 to 72 hours of very rigorous, meticulous testing. So if we are down to our 3 to 4 day stock, then this is a dire situation, and it must not ever happen. Now, the other thing is arranging these massive drives. It works, it sensitizes people, but the problem is that blood has a limited shelf life. So a unit of red cells, that what we normally a donor understands as blood, can only be preserved for a maximum of 6 weeks. Platelets can only be preserved in the blood bank for 5 days. So we need to have regularly, steady donations, like doing a big camp, because we may not be able to use those 10,000 units in the time frame that, they can be used safely. After that, we have to discard. So what we need in our country is to, be adapt it in our culture, that, like giving donations or giving daan on important days or shraddh is a very important part of our culture. And as hematologists, we feel Rakt Daan is Mahadaan. This is the biggest donation that you can give, because it means life to somebody. It may be life saving. So this is, I think, if the young people, young individuals in our country, if they, do that on my birthday, on my special days, on my mother's birthday, this is what I will do to my society. I think that is a culture that we need to accept and adapt, because having a sudden drive with 20,000 donations, actually, we may not be able to use it in the time frame. But what we need is regularly that people should donate blood. Every college-going young person, why should they not be doing? But the myths, I think I would like to talk a little bit about what people have myths, that it will give weakness. So mostly young people will be discouraged by their own mothers to go and donate blood, because they do not understand. Nobody feels any weakness. Every patient, the blood bank will, even in the dire situation, they will not take blood from a donor unless the hemoglobin is more than 12.5, unless the donor is completely fit. Because at the end of the day, the first duty is to the donor. At no cost can we harm the donor, whatever be the crisis. So every donor must think that, they are not going to come any harm. In fact, there is evidence that regular blood donors have less incidence of heart problem and definitely no ill effects on their health whatsoever.
Yes.
You can go and repeat donation in 3 months' time.
Yes, in fact, that's a very important aspect that you've raised, Dr. Mahajan, that it doesn't do anything to the donor. You have absolutely nothing to lose, but imagine the gain on the other side and what you're going to do. I also have NCP leader, Mr. Nawab Malik, joining us on the phone line. Like we've been telling you, that here in Maharashtra now, because the situation is also so dire, special camps are being organized and political parties are now getting into it, and they're taking the lead. And NCPs actually, many of their representatives today have been busy with this blood donation drive. But before I go to him, Let me actually also very quickly ask Dr. Abhijit this question. Dr. Abhijit, right now in this scenario, what are the sources from where you are getting blood, and where is it that we can, improve?
Uh, we are trying to do a lot of campaigns. See, Federation of Bombay Blood Banks is a association of almost 52 premier blood banks of Mumbai. We are doing a lot of campaigns, via social media, Facebook, Twitter, and we are telling everybody only one thing, that I'm sure wherever you stay, there'll be a blood bank close to you. So kindly go to that blood bank, donate your blood, because it's life saving.
Yes.
But I'd like to just add one thing that
So
Dr.
just Dr. Abhijit, if you can just hold on to that thought, and I will come back to you. But I think we've got Mr. Nawab Malik on the phone line. Mr. Malik, thank you for speaking with us. Can you give us a sense of what has now been initiated by the Maharashtra government and the NCP in terms of a blood donation drive? Our own reports suggest that it's a dire situation, especially in cities like Mumbai.
Definitely, there is a scarcity of the blood in the city as well as in the state. The one-day stock is there. Due to lockdown, most of the people are working from home. Most of the colleges and many institutions are not working. So blood donation camp drive has been stopped totally. So definitely we appeal through the government that everybody should come forward and donate the blood. And political parties also starting campaign. Especially NCP has taken a drive. From today we started, and 80,000 bottle blood to be donated by the NCP worker. We are celebrating the birthday celebration of Mr. Sharad Pawar. He is completing 80 years. So target is 80,000 blood donation, and definitely it will help to reduce the scarcity of the blood.
Mr. Malik, how can we make this a sustained drive? We have experts sitting on our panel right now who are telling us how, because of the pandemic, people have a fear. They don't want to step out and, donate blood. They're not too sure of the risk of infection. Do you think there is a need for the government, and should the government actually initiate a special campaign?
Definitely, Chief Minister has appealed to the people. Even the Health Minister and FDA Minister is appealing since last week. People have to come forward. There are donors who always donate, especially in corporate, many of the offices, colleges. Due to pandemic, due to lockdown, many of the blood donation camp has been not there since 6-7 months. So due to that, there is a scarcity. Definitely, political parties are coming forward. When their workers are going to donate,
yes,
Shiv has started campaign, we had started campaign, even Congress has started campaign. Definitely scarcity will be.
Mr. Malik, I think it will be a great service by the political parties if they can actually use their cadre. And because you all have such great reach, your workers at the ground level who can reach out to people and help right now, because it's a very serious situation in many parts of our country. Thank you, Nawab Malik, for speaking with us. Let me go back to Dr. Abhijit. I interrupted him. He wanted to make an additional point. Go ahead, please.
Actually, I'd like to just, reinforce what Dr. Amita just mentioned, that find blood banks, transfusion specialists. We are all doing whatever we can to try and raise awareness, reassure people that it's absolutely safe. There's absolutely no problem. Leave aside COVID, you'll have no problem if you donate blood. In fact, it's a life-saving device, if I can call it. However, it's important to inculcate sensitivity amongst people that this is an indispensable activity. Do not wait for somebody in your family to actually require blood to try and rush to a blood bank and give blood or donate blood. Understand there's somebody out there who requires blood. It is the onus on you as a person to go and do whatever you can to try and save a life, and definitely it's going to come back to you and help you at some stage. So this is something, the onus is on the people, the onus is on the blood banks, the onus is on the citizens to understand it's an indispensable activity. Again, I'm saying I'll start off. I'll go back to what I started off with. We need to unlock blood drives. Understand that increasing voluntary collection is the only way out.
Okay, but I have a follow-up question, and I will come back to that in just a bit, because what I'm trying to understand is one concern people have is going to crowded areas. Now, it's a different thing when, it's a close one's wedding occasion, or it's a different thing if you have to step out for your work and you don't have any other option but to travel in a public transport. But when it comes to a voluntary blood donation, Mr. Patnaik, it can be a tricky one. Now, how do we address that concern people may have in their minds, that why should I go to a crowded place or where I may have to queue up, travel unnecessarily, or are there ways to address that concern?
And that's why if you decentralize the process of collection of blood, instead of doing it at one central place and asking everybody to come over there, what we did, in fact, and it worked, is we decentralized it to the Gram Panchayat level or wherever we had party offices, where the distance, social distance could be maintained and the beds could be maintained. We have Red Cross in every district, and they can actually, if you plan it out, you can go down to the subdivision level easily. Rotary International also could be done. And your cadre is the best in the political party. Your cadre is best placed to know exactly where to organize and who are the people to be contacted. Our youth clubs, for example, the Yuva volunteers and the Chhatra volunteers of our party, they know exactly these are the people who can donate, and this is the place where to organize. And the distance would be covered even, in some places it would be just by walking, some places by just taking a scooter. And when the unlock was there, it was possible to do it, and we had done it. So decentralization is the most important thing, and awareness is the second important thing, that we did not have a huge camp. Generally people have this thing that you have a huge camp and then publicize it all over. If you have that kind of a notion, of blood donation camps, then I think you will not succeed because during these particular times, because of the fear of the disease. But if you decentralize, there is no such problem, and we did it that way. And that would be the advice to everybody, because even in a hospital, all kinds of people are coming. We had COVID hospitals, non-COVID hospitals, all kinds of things were there. But if you were doing it in open space, in a youth club, which we did in a decentralized manner in Bhubaneswar itself, it worked.
Does that sound like a good solution right now, Surya Prabha? Because, the governments also have their hands full, but it would be perhaps easier if the political parties just dipped into their strong cadre on ground.
Absolutely. I think, all the experts here have pretty much reiterated that there is a need for the political cadre to use their power and network to leverage and bring this back to the society. And coming back to the old point that some of the experts have been talking about on, individual responsibility, that how do we all take individual responsibility? I think there is a need for, whether different stakeholders to come together to collaborate, whether it's government, political stakeholders, or even corporates and other individuals who have been involved in the whole process of blood donation and mobilizing it, to also invest probably going forward, not just for the pandemic, but going forward on behavioral change. Right? Individual responsibility only comes when the myths around blood donation are broken, right? And also people understand the importance that it should not just be about your individual family needing blood, but even for the society to really, live on blood that is probably life-saving that you're donating. So I think, therefore, it's crucial that, different stakeholders also start thinking about investing in behavioral change for public.
Okay, in fact, because you raised that issue and Dr. Amita was also talking about it, if maybe you or Dr. Amita want to speak about some of these myths. And there are so many of them, that people have about, if I am going to go and donate blood, Dr. Amita, it might impact my immunity, and that's not something I want to risk during a pandemic.
So there is absolutely, the donor will not come to any harm whatsoever. If there were going to be any negative impact of blood donation, we would not have blood donation, because it is our first duty is to ensure safety of the donor. So the common myths are that you will feel weakness. Let me even say that there are myths that they may feel impotence or their sexual function may be low, which none of it is true. So any individual between the age of 18 to 65 years who has a hemoglobin of 12.5 and is generally fit should be able to donate. Now, unfortunately, most women in India are already anemic and don't have a hemoglobin of 12.5. So that is something that we need to work on, and that's a separate issue. But blood donation, either in the short term, you can go back to work the same day. We collect blood from, when we go to a corporate and collect blood, they continue with their working day. So no rest is needed except for a, few minutes after you donate. You can get back to normal working day, get back to normal life. You can go back and donate 3 months later. So all I can assure you, and in other countries, there is never this talk of shortage because continuously people are donating. It's a part of their culture, and nobody even discusses blood shortage. But at the same time, Tanvi, many people did come out to donate even when there was lockdown. So on behalf of all the thalassemia and other patients who needed blood transfusions, I do want to thank them as well, because many young people and the patients themselves did a lot of innovative drives on the social media. And I think the advocacy groups, the support groups, the thalassemia societies will eventually emerge stronger from them, because in this adversity, we have also found an opportunity. For example, taking the blood bank to the donor. Why should the donor have to come every, he is donating. Why should he have to miss a day of work and come? We open it on Sundays. We make it easier for the donor. We make them understand the awareness, going to the society. So these innovative things have happened. And I think they will last us beyond the pandemic. So I'm hoping that in time to come, this adversity that we have faced, this calamity, this shortage that we have faced, will actually turn out into an opportunity for innovative drives and more awareness. For example, you highlighting and reaching out to the public through this program. This is one of the first one for us. So we are really happy for you to highlighting this. And, I'll encourage everybody listening to it. If you haven't donated, please find a way to donate. Your society can just reach out to the nearest blood bank, and they will make it possible for you to donate safely.
In fact, the National Health Mission's own portal, the online portal called the e-Rakt Kosh, is also something that the viewers can use. You can just log on to this portal, and it will also give you a better sense of where are the camps or centers around you where you can go and donate blood if you are struggling to find one. Asha Pelajani calling us from Mumbai on the phone line, one of our viewers. Good evening, Asha. Go ahead, please. What would you like to ask?
First of all, congratulations, Mira Now and Tanvi. Fantastic job on everything that you do. Secondly, you need blood immediately. Let's talk of that. There are the services. We are Southern Command. The Army, Navy and Air Force are based there. They've got hospitals. They've checked the blood of all their warriors. You have blood available. The only thing that you have not done is to tell us what type of blood you need. We ourselves as initial suppliers, or what shall we say, donors, don't know our blood group. Do you know the blood group of everyone in India? You don't. So first of all, get the blood group. When I was 16, I'm 78, I went in a van to the factories near Pune, and first they taught me how to check the blood group, and then we took blood. Then we went and took cakes for all of them. Now, if you're giving vaccine and someone is giving you blood, please give him a free vaccine. What is it that is wrong? Every hospital should have a van that goes out. We have 3 hospitals at Mahim. Not one person has approached us. We don't know the blood group that you need. We don't know what your plasma collection is. We don't know how you save it. We don't know how you distribute it. You leave it to little technicians in labs to check the blood. Don't do that. Take it on a war footing. I'm sure Shiv Sena, Congress and NCP will come out. Now, straight away, go to the services. One day's blood you have. Now go and get all your blood and promise them that you will give back, not in prayers alone, but also in kind to all of them. Tanvi, I don't want to take too much of your time. Wish you all the best. I work in hospitals. I'm a designer of hospitals. Bye, baby.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling and sharing your views. And I think a very important point that you raised, and maybe some of our experts can also come in on that, Dr. Abhijit. Is there also a mismatch about what's needed and what is out there? People don't know, what India requires right now.
Yes, actually, blood has a very uncanny tactic of suddenly getting short, especially a blood group. Now, in the last few years, we notice suddenly there's a day or there are weeks or months where like A positive or B positive, one of these blood groups, suddenly there's a shortage all across Mumbai, and we really don't know what to do. So this is something that none of us have been able to address. So again, with respect to trying to ensure that everybody has a regular blood group check done, we've always conducted blood grouping checkups, or whenever there are any health checkups, we ensure that a blood grouping is done so that at least people know their blood group. We try and maintain a database of blood groups, so that in case there's a shortage of a particular group, we try and call up the person and ask him to come and donate blood or come to the nearest camp. So we try to do a lot of things to ensure that first of all everybody knows their blood group, and then whenever there's a shortage, a lot of things are done to try and replenish it.
Well, in fact, we're just getting shots right now of, NCP leaders and ministers also there. That's Mr. Tope, the health minister of Maharashtra, donating blood right now. You can understand and you can imagine when the government reacts and moves with this kind of an alacrity and leads by example of just what the situation will be on the ground. Here is the Maharashtra minister himself donating blood and leading by example, asking, of course, the government has asked everybody else to step out as well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there's also Supriya Sule who's donating blood there as well. So, and like Mr. Nawab Malik was pointing out, they have an occasion within the party, Mr. Sharad Pawar's 80th birthday, which is why they're all also taking on this drive on this day as well. Supriya Sule there donating her blood as well. We're going to try and go across to a couple of more viewers who've also called us with suggestions. In fact, Vikas Javalkar is also calling us for Mumbai as well. Good evening, Vikas. What would you like to say?
I would like to suggest two things. One is that as a typical Indian, we don't give anything free. So if you can give a card or something saying that this gentleman has or this lady has given blood, and whenever he requires, they give you a bottle free. So that would be something like a reserve for me. And secondly, you all are now going to give a COVID virus medicine to everyone. That's the best time to give everyone a card on which he or she has his blood group written on it. So by that time, everyone knows what is his group, and if he wants to know that person requires, everything is done. You don't have to go and check your blood. That is the best time both the things can happen. Give him the vaccine and get his blood group also. That's what I would like to suggest. Thank you. Okay,
thank you so much, Vikas, for calling in. So this has now come up multiple times, Anil Shah. Should we explore the option of incentivizing people right now to come out and donate blood?
In fact, we should not wait for appeal till people appealing you that there is a need of blood. All youngsters, what message should go that there is always a need of the blood. Blood is required all the time throughout the year. Now, since there is some acute shortage blood and some birthday of some leader, the people are coming forward now. No, they should not do. Actually, every time, every moment, every day, there is a need of blood, and blood should be. So we should appeal through this your channel that all youngsters, they should come forward and go. Don't wait for somebody to appeal you or somebody to call you that there is a need of blood. You should go regularly and donate blood so that blood banks have enough stock of blood, and whenever blood is required for any patient, the blood is available in the blood bank. That is what happening. Dr. Mahajan and Dr. Abhijit was explaining the same thing. Instead of organizing huge blood camps, you can organize small camps all the time throughout the year, so that there is a consistent supply of blood available in the blood bank, and all the patients who require blood, they get blood smoothly all the time. So
yes, absolutely. And it's very important to highlight that this cannot, it can't be a 1 week or a 1 month drive that we all go and donate blood just one single time and then forget about it. This has to continue. Definitely the next 6 months as we first fix the shortage and the gap that we have. But even after that, India overall, viewers, does have a gap between the blood supply and what is required. And you would think in a country like ours with such a large young population, such a large population to begin with, and healthy population, we wouldn't be having this problem. But it is. Year after year, we look at statistics that show that there is a shortage. Right now, it's just worsened. if cities are looking at situation in Karnataka and Maharashtra where they will run out of blood in their blood banks in the next 3 days or 5 days or 6 days, that situation should never happen. But we are there, which is why it is of utmost importance that we find out a donation center around us, or if there is a camp being held, go ahead and do our part and then not stop. Do it frequently. You will just end up saving a lot of lives without having to do much. Think about it. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. A big thank you to all of our panelists who were with us.